There was an effort that began close to 20 years ago to allow the brownfields and the riverfronts to change to new technology and new industry and new businesses. Done this work with you all in Rice's Landing and with the Greene County Historical Society. What benefits are you seeing to the community?
Definitely the community is more into the history of the town now, and people from actually around the state and around the country basically wanting to see the machine shop.
Rivers of Steel has been good. It's been, I think it's made this whole place feel like somebody's trying to do something. Rivers of Steel says go ahead and open the door and do something.
We believe that the industrial sites should save parts of the history as a marketing tool and as an element of teaching and interpreting, and actually as an attraction to the sites, to leave on the landscape examples and reminders of what was here.
Pittsburgh wouldn't be what it is today if the rivers weren't here. Most of those who came from east to west came this route, a Native American route, Nemacolin Trail, and there they began floating down the Monongahela and the Ohio on flatboats. And the only time that they dared go down the river was in the spring and the fall. The Monongahela was so low in the summertime you could walk across the river at Pittsburgh. About 1790, the keel boats began to arrive in this area. It didn't push the water the way the flatboats did, it sliced through, and they could come back upriver. They became the first packet boats in this area, having kind of a regular schedule of hauling freight and people. The first export from the Mon Valley was whiskey. Monongahela rye was as well known in New Orleans by the 1790s as it might even be today. And the keel boaters would dominate upriver traffic for 20-25 years until the coming of the steamboat. Now, most of you, I hope, have heard the story of Robert Fulton, his steamboat going upriver successfully in 1807. Then it just exploded. What was different was, with the rivers out here so shallow, why have a deep draft, 8-10 feet? Why not put the engines on the deck? This was the beginning of the evolution of one of the most important technologies in transportation history. How many steamboats were built between 1815 and 1880? The guess is about 3,000. Approximately 75 or 80% of all of those steamboats were built in western Pennsylvania. It was the first major significant industry. What happens at the same time? Coal. By the 50s and 60s, most of the coal was being used here in the iron industry, and by the late 60s and 70s in the new steel industry. But there was still need for coal downriver. Dams. The Monongahela was canalized. 4 dams were built by 1844, making it possible for navigation. It was privately owned by the Monongahela Navigation Company until 1897, when the Corps of Engineers took over. Pittsburgh, of course, has become the iron center and soon the steel center of the country. Railroads. The Pennsylvania Central finally got to Pittsburgh in 1852. So this is a new era of railroad technology just zooming out into the Mississippi River in just a few years. A railroad would not be built to Brownsville until 1881. So for another generation, steamboats would dominate transportation for people and coal here on the Monongahela River.
When you look at these rivers and the buildings of the skyline of Pittsburgh today, it's hard to realize in this diversified economy of banking, research, corporate headquarters, all of this is possible because of those rivers out there. This is a story of the foresight of people like George Washington, like the Continental Congress, like the U.S. Congress, to build a waterway system that made possible the second industrial revolution here in Pittsburgh. All of the buildings of the steel industry that took place in that time needed locks and dams.
If we didn't have these locks and dams, this river would be unnavigable to commercial traffic. We are flow control. We maintain this pool so that there's a guaranteed 9-foot channel of water because a loaded coal barge sits 9 feet below the water level. The water ends up being at 2 different elevations. You have a lower pool and an upper pool. And we use the lock chamber to get the boats either from the lower to the upper or from the upper to the lower. We don't pump any water in or out. It's all done by gravity. The filling valves are open, water comes into the chamber, and it will fill until the water inside the chamber meets the water on the high side of the outside of the chamber. The gates are designed to only be opened when the water pressure is equal on both sides. We'll open the gates, the boat comes in, we close the gates. When the gates are closed, we've essentially isolated this section of the river from everything else. It's like a giant bathtub of water. We'll close the filling valves to prevent any more water from coming in, and we open the emptying valves. That's like pulling the drain plug out of a bathtub. The water in the chamber then lowers to this lower elevation. We can open the gates, we let the boat out, and then reverse the process, go in the other direction. If these weren't here, the water would be shallow enough that you or I could go out there and walk across this river at any given point. These allow us to have 24-hour, 365 operation to get these commodities up and down the rivers at all times.
Or normal life expectancy of a lock and dam is only 50 years. Most of the locks and dams in the Pittsburgh District, Army Corps Engineers, probably within the United States, has well exceeded or close to exceeding the 50-year time frame that they anticipate life of operation with minimal maintenance and repairs. To reduce the flood or also assist in dry spells, they built Kinzu Dam, York Dam, Tiger Dam, all those to reduce floods, but also hold water back to feed the rivers in dry seasons to keep it navigable. And also we're here for navigation of recreational boats or jet skis, canoes. So we're not here just for commercial use, we're here for everybody's use. I got out of the service and I worked for what we called the repair fleet. Then I transferred over to the locks and dams and locked boats for a number of years. And since then I bid and became a lock master. But we also have collateral duties. Some people teach CPR and first aid as a collateral duty. Myself, I have a collateral duty as a commercial diver for the Army Corps Engineers. We go in and inspect the locks and dams on a time cycle that they're scheduled. It's an enjoyable environment. You're doing different jobs, so you don't get tired of one job. If you like a variety of things, it's not the same thing every day.
I have a teaching degree and here I am working for the Corps of Engineers. So college education is good, but even if you don't have one and you're a skilled trade guy, if you're into welding or electrical or anything like that, plumbing, carpentry, those kind of guys are the guys we look for mechanics, because you got to kind of be able to do it all.
I smile when I say Braddock Dam because that's probably the highlight of my career. Basically, it involved constructing the foundation in the river while separate crews were actually building the shell of the dam in 2 pieces, and we towed it from Leedsdale up the Ohio River and then sunk it into place in a very controlled fashion by filling it with water directly over top of that foundation. It was just a really unique and fascinating project to be a part of. The whole Lower Mon project in its entirety, it's the new gated dam at Braddock, it's the new double lock chamber here at Charleroi, and then it's the removal of Lock and Dam 3 at Elizabeth. It started with the construction of a new gated dam at Braddock, and the gated dam will allow the river level to be raised between Braddock and Elizabeth and do away with the Lock and Dam entirely, which is a DSAC 2 rated dam, which means it's on the register for failing dams. Along with that is the work here at Charleroi to replace the existing lock chambers here that are very narrow and undersized according to today's standards. We can then do the work to remove Lock and Dam 3 at Elizabeth. So there will be one continuous navigation pull from Braddock to Charleroi.
Not everybody understands how the Port of Pittsburgh Commission works. We act kind of as a chamber of commerce, the central point of coordination for privately owned facilities. Our purpose is to foster the private development and interest out here. One of our biggest projects is maintaining these locks and dams. We work with our industry folks and we try to educate the government people on the importance of maintaining the government contribution. But we also work with industry to try to develop innovative ways that would help lower the cost of doing business on the waterway. We're now trying to build a communications network to move broadband wireless out on the waterway. This is going to help the security of the river, the industry coordinate with the Corps of Engineers on the lockages, and it's going to help industry coordinate with itself. We see this as a great efficiency for the waterway transportation, and when you bring efficiencies, you're going to bring more money and more tax dollars to this region.
We are responsible for patrolling the Pittsburgh Pool for any type of rescue, emergency medical calls. So you have a medical component, 2 Pittsburgh paramedics who are also trained as master divers, and a Pittsburgh police officer who can do the law enforcement, who is our helmsman, pilots the boat. My main job, believe it or not, is actually on a medic unit. It's Medic 1 in Homewood.
My current assignment, I'm assigned to SDD, the Special Deployment Division, which is located in the West End. I'm the Community Relations Officer for Zone 6.
My main station is up in Greenfield, Medic 7, where I'm one of 3 crew chiefs.
Unfortunately, people fall in from the side. Boats are disabled. We tow them. People have a medical emergency on a boat. They would probably call 911 and say, "Where do I go?" Well, we would just come to you. And the other big one is the Gateway Clipper fleet. Once they're underway, it's very difficult for them just to pull over anywhere and get an ambulance. And for the barges too. We will actually dock up with them while they're moving. Medical gear that we carry on the boat is the same gear that's carried on the ambulance. Our first in bag has everything basically that we would need. In the black bag is a heart monitor, and then in the orange is portable oxygen.
You got a 65-year-old male and a heart palpitation.
Looks like an awful lot of stuff, huh?
Current is something that is very different. All the water is flowing from the Allegheny down the Mon to the Ohio, which eventually makes it to the Mississippi and makes it all the way to the Gulf. So there's a current. The water here in all 3 rivers, if I'm down on the bottom and I can see my fingers, it's a good day. So a lot of times we'll be on the bottom searching maybe for a weapon that someone threw in or something, or unfortunately if we're looking for a body, it's not like I'm looking out 20, 30 feet. I'm only looking to about the end of my arm, and a lot of times we'll be searching and it's right there because your visibility is so low.
You know, the divers, my hat's off to them because they're constantly in the water, and we're here. If we're not out on a call, the majority of the time, the divers, they want to go in the water, they want to practice because it's what they do every day. And it'll save their life and someone else's life, and that's the important thing.
From 2009 till 2011, I was a full-time captain at Gateway Clipper. And now I work as a director of marine operations. And I still get to work as a captain, so that's an extra bonus. One little boat called the Gateway Clipper has grown over the last 54 years into a 5-vessel fleet you see here today. Our biggest boat, the Majestic, holds 1,000 passengers. It's almost as long as a football field, 50 feet wide. The Duchess holds 300 passengers.
A friend of mine asked me if I wanted to come work on the boats, and I did. I retired from the school district I worked for 30 years. I've been down here for 5 seasons. Today, we're doing 1-hour sightseeing cruises up and down the 3 rivers. Take the people out for an hour, show them a little bit of the sights of the city from the perspective of the river, which is a unique way to see it because it doesn't look this way when you're on land.
Well, I started here at Gateway Clipper in 1995 bussing tables. Because of that job, I saw the deckhand position. I was still in school, eventually became a school teacher, did that for a couple of years, but then I really realized along the way that my love was the rivers, so I came back as a full-time captain.
I actually went to school for marine biology, and I went to a maritime academy, so they were very big on boats in general, and I was like, well, if I'm going to be on the water, I should learn how to drive a boat. I took like electrical classes, diesel classes, things like that, and it gave me all time towards my captain's license. Prior to here, I worked at the Pittsburgh Zoo, so it was like I was always outside anyway, regardless. It wasn't what I set out to do in the very first place, but I liked it, so I came back. I'm outside all the time. I have a great crew, so I'm really lucky. I really am.
There is something for everyone. All of these jobs are out there on the rivers, that the potentials are limitless.
Looking at this river today and understanding the economic impact that it has, 45,000 direct jobs, those are direct jobs that are directly employed upon it, and over 217,000 total jobs in this region are dependent on this river system and the health of this system. It's not just the people in the transportation industry. It's the people in the steel industry, in the power generation industry, in the chemical industry that couldn't get their goods if it wasn't for river transportation. They move in such big volumes that we would clog up all of the streets and highways of this region to the point that nobody would be able to live here. Those 200,000 jobs, that generates $1 billion in state taxes and $2 billion in federal taxes. This is a very big economic engine for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and for the nation.
Riverlift is a barge and rail terminal located in West Elizabeth. We're about a 24-acre site. We're primarily a bulk material handling facility, coal, coke, de-icing salt, grain and feed products. The product there is furnace coke from U.S. Steel Clairton Works. It was loaded onto our trucks and were transferred onto the barge. It will be transported to U.S. Steel facility in Birmingham, Alabama, where it would be converted and made into steel, possibly for building a barge at Brownsville.
Here's the quarter head, and the head is still on this barge. Coming off about a foot, you're just past about the 8th head on here. You got about 20 feet left to drop.
We are a family business. My brother and I have been involved with it at a very young age. We worked here our summers, and then after college, we both decided to come work for our father. Our children are going to also be involved down the road. You saw my son earlier today. He's just getting his feet wet, just getting started like I did a long time ago.
It's critically important that we accurately keep track of our customers' product. Some of the products that we handle are extremely valuable. Most of the time they're by the ton. So having an accurate weighing system is a very important part of our customer service, and that's how we get paid, and that's how our customers usually get paid moving their product. So we try to be vertically integrated with all of our employees. Folks who are running the high lift this morning can go and run a forklift in the afternoon or help run the crane. Being that it's a family-run business, we all have to pitch in and help. And also it makes for a very interesting day for the men. They wake up in the morning and they don't know exactly what they're going to do, but they know that they're going to be busy, and we always have a little bit of something different every day.
What we're doing here at Brownsville is a great thing for the marine industry. By upgrading our quality, we've had independent surveyors come in and tell us that our quality is the best in the industry now. We know we build a competitively priced barge. We're proud of that. We employ over 330 folks now. Most of these folks are Western Pennsylvanians here. We think we provide folks an opportunity to build a life here.
This is who I am, running a crew, and this is what I love to do. Behind me here is marine repair. Mainly what we do here is reskin standards and stump boats. They got all these standards and stump boats that have been around since the 70s, 80s, and early 90s. Instead of buying new barges, they want to repair these barges to get another 8 to 10 years out of them. I came here with just little welding experience, never been in a shipyard, never worked on a barge, never walked on a barge. During the summer, the first 4 months I was here, I became a lead man on side sections. We started out with 4 guys that didn't know what a barge was. You know, they'd come in and say, you know, where's the motor? Well, you know, a lot of the guys come here, never picked up a rod before, and you just got to teach them. And that's how I was dealt with whenever I came here. Here I am, you know, 6 years later. You know, I got a crew of 24 guys. 90% of them are older than me, but they know that I'm pointing them in the right direction, and these guys come in here every day, day in and day out, sweating, getting rained on, you know, 17-degree weather, and it's hard. That's the nature of the beast, and you just got to keep pushing forward.
We are refacilitating our prep shop. It will enable us to comfortably do our 180 barges and do things in a much more orderly flow where everything is linear going into the plant and through the plant to build these barges.
The inside line is the line we're able to produce a barge every 2 days. With the expansion and everything, we're able to increase that to 5 shifts instead of every 6 shifts. We're able to produce at least 3.5 barges every week, which with the outside line, some weeks fall into 4 barges we're able to launch in a given week.
Good. On it! Good!
One thing about being a police officer, it's very diverse. You can do a bunch of different things. And one of the things I chose in here was to come to River Rescue and operate the boat.
I don't think I'm meant for an office.
The pay is good, the benefits are good, it's a great place to work. I couldn't be happier. I've been here for 16 years and I wouldn't imagine going anywhere else.
I always got to be thinking, and this is one of the reasons why I love it out here, because everything's always different.
This is my 3rd year dying on River Rescue, and I've had a ball every year.
It's kind of a niche in construction that we all enjoy being around and really like being a part of.
I am very happy to be back in Western Pennsylvania building barges here on the Monongahela River.
It is a community, truly is, on so many different levels.
Barges and welding and offloading and just, it's just so much going on here that you'd probably be surprised.
Just have to look this way and you'll find a job you like.